Hello and welcome. We're going to unpack some really fascinating material today, pulling out the key insights for you. I'm Tom.
And I'm Amy. Yeah, looking forward to getting into this. We'll try to connect the dots and think about what it all means.
Okay, so today we're focusing on a pretty intense interview with Eric Weinstein. It's
Mm.
from the Diary of a CEO,
Mm.
and it's unfiltered, definitely provocative.
Right. And our goal is basically to walk through his biggest claims, from geopolitics all the way to like the nature of reality and see what the implications might be for, well, for all of us.
Yeah, expect some surprising ideas, maybe even stuff that shifts your perspective a bit.
It really does push you to think differently, doesn't it? He connects things you wouldn't normally connect, paints this really big, complex picture.
So let's dive right in. One of the most startling claims right off the bat concerns Jeffrey Epstein. Weinstein flat out states Epstein was, and I'm quoting here, a product of at least one element of the intelligence community.
Yeah, and crucially, he says Epstein was not a financier in any standard sense. That was a cover story. So not just a rich guy with a dark secret, but something orchestrated.
And what makes this hit harder is Weinstein's personal angle, right?
Yeah.
He talks about how powerful people actually told him he needed to meet Epstein.
Exactly. And he says Epstein knew a tremendous amount about my scientific work in ways that he wasn't supposed to. Plus, Epstein had links back to Weinstein's own grad program at Harvard
Which
Mathematics.
just makes you wonder, what was Epstein's actual role? It seems way bigger than the headlines.
Hmm. Well, yeah. And then there's that Confronting Gravity conference in 2006. Epstein hosting Nobel laureates, top scientists to talk about gravity.
It just doesn't track for a financier, does it?
Not really. And Weinstein builds on this, calling Epstein a construct, not just a person, but like a tool running multiple different programs. He suggests these included science funding, yes, but also science control.
Science control.
Yeah.
And he links this to Robert Maxwell, too, right?
Yeah.
Ghislaine's father.
Hmm. And Pergamon Press. The implication seems to be that this network might have been used to manage scientific publishing, maybe even steer or suppress certain discoveries.
So the idea is there might be these hidden systems, sort of,
Hmm.
guiding things behind the scenes, including science.
It seems to be what he's suggesting. A way to maintain control, perhaps, over potentially disruptive ideas. What's a pretty heavy thought.
Okay, if that wasn't enough, let's talk about his view of the world right now. It's grim. He says, quote, "You're looking at the end man. Not just tension, but the actual unraveling of the post-WWII order."
Right. He thinks we're already deep into it, and he points to this really specific window, like November 52 to April 53, just 6 months.
What happened then?
Well, two massive things, according to him. We got the hydrogen bomb, the power of the nucleus, and we figured out the double helix, the three-dimensional structure of nucleic acid.
So the power to destroy ourselves and the power to rewrite life itself basically unlocked almost simultaneously.
Exactly. And his point is humanity got this immense power without the wisdom to handle it.
And he sees the fallout from that playing out right now, doesn't he? In
Mm.
current events.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about things like hypersonic missiles flaming into a modern city, or watching, the Persians Iran taking direct hits from Israel and the U.S. He emphasizes these aren't just minor skirmishes, they represent a huge shift.
And new kinds of warfare are emerging, too. He mentions drone warfare and FPV.
Yeah, first person view, where the operator basically sees what the drone sees right up to impact. He calls it the beginning of drone warfare, a total change in how conflict worked.
And then there's the nuclear threat, always looming, 9 or 10 countries with the bomb.
And it boils down to one individual's decision to launch. He argues most of us don't truly grasp, embody that reality.
It's like we're living in a bubble. Is that his point?
Pretty much. He says most of us have no idea of what a real pandemic like a Spanish flu or Black Plague is like, or massive war. We've been in this artificially stagnant bubble for decades.
Insulated from the really harsh realities of history. Which means we're maybe not prepared for what he sees coming?
That seems to be the implication. And this ties into something else he talks about, this societal unhooking.
Unhooking. What does he mean by that?
Well, the idea that we've kind of lost our traditional superstructures, things like, strong family ties, tight communities, even a sense of bigger purpose or transcendence.
So we're just kind of floating
Yeah.
individually.
Yeah. Ladders up to just ourselves, is how he puts it. Focused on the self, without that bigger context.
And it's interesting, his take on religion, given he's an atheist.
Right. He suggests we aren't meant to live without it, calls it a protective thing. He uses this analogy about scuba diving.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Air hunger is the immediate panic that makes you want air, but the real need is just to breathe. He thinks we've lost those immediate protective structures, and there's this deep unmet need underneath.
And this connects to the whole optimization mania thing, like trying to perfect every little aspect of our lives.
Exactly. We optimize our days, our health, our online profiles, and then what? He asks, now what? There's still this feeling of emptiness, maybe, a lack of real meaning that optimization can't fix.
But he does think meaning is out there, right? In simpler things.
Totally. He finds it in tropical fruit and physics, or listening to Bach cello suites, or Eva Cassidy singing, really fundamental human experiences.
And he mentions having kids was unbeatable for him.
Yeah, and he thinks the fact that kids often move out quickly now is actually a problem, that we're losing those deep family bonds. It's a callback to, like, basic human connection.
Okay, switching gears a bit. Let's talk AI and physics. He thinks we're seriously underestimating AI's impact.
Massively. He points to things like that 2017 paper, Attention is All You Need, which was foundational for current AI.
Right, the transformer architecture.
And Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin solution, creating digital gold. He argues a lot of current AI is just mimicking human interaction patterns, the LLM interactions we do daily. The real big problems, he thinks, will hit way before we get to some kind of super smart AGI.
And on the physics side, he makes this pretty bold claim that physics has been kind of stuck since '73.
Yeah, stagnant is his word. No big new ideas about changing the fundamental rules, the Lagrangian. He compares new physics ideas to the Beatles writing songs, game-changing stuff.
But he does mention things like AlphaFold 3.
Right, which cracked protein folding. Huge deal. Allows predicting 3D protein structures, which could lead to things like targeted nanobots. He says this changes the balance of power.
And this links back to his point about dangerous ideas, doesn't it? Like Rutherford's idea in 1911.
The neutron. Yeah, the neutral version of the proton. Seems small, but that unlocked the nuclear chain reaction, the bomb. He calls it the most dangerous thought anyone has ever had.
So the question becomes, who controls these dangerous ideas? Which leads to his claims about government control over physics.
Exactly. He brings up Los Alamos, the secret city building the atomic bomb, and how a reporter named Jack Raper exposed it in '44 but was ignored.
And he argues that because of things like restricted data rules, stemming from the Espionage Act and Atomic Energy Acts, American physicists essentially don't have free speech on certain topics.
Yeah, that developing physics related to nuclear weapons, even theoretically, could be a capital offense. It's a shocking claim.
He even says the Department of Energy is basically a cover for the Department of Physics and nuclear weapons work.
And then there's the UFO stuff. He claims the government fakes UFO programs, calls them unacknowledged special access programs, or USAPs.
Fakes them. Why?
As a distraction technique, he suggests. Either to hide real advanced tech they're working on, or maybe just to make adversaries think they have incredible, almost alien powers.
Wow, okay. And he warns about what happens to people who try to reveal these kinds of secrets.
Yeah, he says the intelligence community uses covert influence operations to destroy people's lives and reputations if they expose things, even accidentally. He names recent figures like Grush and Fravor, but also historical ones like Leo Szilard.
So the big picture implication here is this idea of a managed reality, that what we see isn't necessarily the full story.
That seems to be the core of it. That information, even fundamental science, is potentially controlled because of its power.
Okay, let's pivot to geopolitics. His take on the Middle East is pretty critical.
Very. He basically says the US and UK screwed up the Middle East, pointing directly at things like Operation Ajax in Iran in '53. He sees that as leading directly to the rise of the mullahs.
So, drawing a line from past actions to present crises, what about the current Gaza conflict?
Well, he argues the tragedy was partly caused by the U.S. pushing a two-state solution on Palestinians who, he claims, didn't want it. And controversially, he calls Hamas leader Sinwar's strategy genius hybrid warfare.
Genius. How so?
By using video strategically to sway global opinion against Israel, Weinstein frames it as Sinwar orchestrating an IDF-assisted suicide, basically provoking a response designed to make Israel look bad internationally.
That's a really provocative framing. So what's his proposed solution then?
He calls for a crappy, cold peace. Basically, accept a messy, imperfect reality. And he suggests those who cannot live in peace should leave the region. He also thinks the Iranian people should rise up against the mullahs.
Despite all this criticism, though, he does see some positive signs. He mentions Elon Musk.
Yeah, interestingly, despite Musk's flaws, Weinstein sees him as embodying that quintessential American spirit of anything is possible here, a kind of resilience or drive.
So wrapping this all up, what's the main message he wants people to take away?
It feels like a wake-up call. He says we need to scare the crap out of ourselves and come to our senses. Basically, stop ignoring the really serious stuff happening globally.
Well, we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
From Epstein and controlled science, the world unraveling, the search for meaning, the hidden power of physics and AI, to these really stark geopolitical takes.
And that underlying theme, right? The idea of a managed reality.
Yeah. His belief that this means we're all in some version of The Truman Show, which really leaves you thinking. Armed with these ideas, how do you choose to see things? How do you act?
Thank you for your attention. You can subscribe our podcast if you like it.
See you next time.